Hello, my friends and fellow speakers. Welcome to Speaking with the Speaker. Today, we're going to be talking about, if you haven't guessed from the intro there, we're going to be talking about Cowboy Bebop, one of the greatest animes that has ever been made. It's an older anime. It came out in the later 80s, early to late 80s. Came out in the 80s sometime. Now, it's a funny thing. So, I only recently I've heard the name Cowboy Bebop forever. But I only recently became aware how good it was. I finally got the opportunity to watch it. I finally found an English version. They've got it on Hulu right now, and it's fantastic. Very well written, very well done. From the research I was doing, here, let's switch that. That way you can look at my ugly mug. So the show is considered one of the best adaptations to English for any anime that is being made or has been made. A lot of animes, the translations aren't correct, or they're slightly off, or there's just issues with them when Funimation and other companies transfer them over into English. And this is widely regarded as one of the best for being kind of as close as you can get. Because with any translation, you're always going to lose a little something, especially with, Japanese. Is that a good awe or a bad awe, Adega? No, and welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Looks like we got a couple people in here. And hey, we got just another nerd in here tonight. So welcome. Glad to have you. So when I was growing up, I was born in the early 70s. And as I was growing up, I became aware of anime during that time, especially in the mid to late 80s. I would see it periodically where we lived. We had 4 channels. We had ABC, NBC, CBS, PBS. That was it. That's all we could get where I grew up. There was no cable. There was nothing. We grew up in a very rural community. And, we had the old aerial antennas. But I'm going well, you're from the UK, so I don't think they've experienced this in a long time. So yeah, but see, I was aware of anime as I was growing up, but I remember the early anime, and I remember thinking, this is terrible. As a little kid, my brain just couldn't wrap my brain around it. And the animation style was so different than what we would see from Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, all that kind of stuff. I just never, I didn't really care for it. Which is sad now, because I really got into anime probably, 10, 15 years ago now. So, I was in my mid 30s before I really started getting into anime. And mainly a lot of that happened just because I was so tired of what Hollywood's been doing and kind of the goop that gets put out far too often for television shows and stuff. I was bored with everything I was seeing. So I really started looking for something different. As you can see right here, this is a poster of another anime right over my shoulder there, if I can move. Which is called Sword Art Online. And that one and another one called Rosario and the Vampire were the 2 that first really caught me. And I guess there were some earlier ones that I liked, but that was the one that really pulled me in and made me just realize how much anime had to offer, how much great storytelling there is in anime and in manga. And stuff in general. I love it. There's still some that I'll watch and I'll be like, I don't know what I'm watching. I'm not sure what this is. I'm confused. but most of it, it's just it's very different. So I like some of the animes, and I will eventually probably do some shows on other animes that I like. I wanted to cover more of Cowboy Bebop with this one because it's one of the older animes and widely considered to be one of the best. And also because there's a new detail that regards Cowboy Bebop. Netflix has bought the rights and is making a live action version of Cowboy Bebop. From what I understand, they had started filming. They've got about 3 episodes finished. They had 7 in the works when the actor playing the main character blew out his knee or did something to his knee, damaged something, and was out of commission. And then, the virus to end all freedom in the world showed up and and kind of started ruining everything and put everything back into Never Neverland. We might never get it. Odega, the Robotech, Star Blazers, Records of Lodos. Well, I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Robotech, I've watched some of. Some of those I still haven't gotten to yet, and I'm kind of embarrassed because those are some of the most famous animes out there. But if you're a fan of anime, you know that there's a lot of anime to watch. It kind of puts what we have in the US as like cartoons and stuff. We have Tom and Jerry. We've got cartoons. We really do. We have a lot. But when you start looking into how much anime there is and how long they've been making anime, wow. The Japanese have been doing this for a long time, and they are very good at it. Anyway, so let's the only one I got was Ghost in the Shell. That was good. I actually liked that movie. I don't know if you guys liked that movie. It was kind of an odd adaptation. People didn't like Scarlett Johansson in that role, but I thought it was okay. Was it a perfect adaptation? No. No, it wasn't. And that's the problem. When they go from anime to live action, they never seem to get it right. And I think it's just because anime it is very much its own unique creation. And I think it's very hard to duplicate it when you do live action, because usually the action sequences are very quick. The animation is most of it's very seamless. Now there's some different styles that are really odd. But welcome Kamikaze. Great to have you. But yeah, so that, it wasn't a bad adaptation. Alita Battle Angel was another one that was just recently done, that was taken from its anime form and put into movie format. Now, a lot of this, somehow that movie got politicized because of Captain Marvel coming out at the same time. And because it came out and Alita Battle Angel came out at the same time, somehow everybody who hated Captain Marvel gravitated towards Alita Battle Angel because they were both female characters, only one was done right and one was done so wrong. One was very liberalized and one was just normal. Alita, it's good. I will tell you that it's a good movie, but it wasn't what I was expecting. And some of the ways they went with the story, I was like, I don't know why you're doing that. It was really confusing to me, but it is worth a watch. But I would love to hear you guys' takes on stuff like that. So if you've seen those movies, Ghost in the Shell, these ones that are being changed. But given Captain Marvel and Alita, Alita's way better. But it still had some issues. It had some story issues where I was just like, that makes no sense. Anyway, so we're going to get back to Cowboy Bebop. Now, anybody who watches me for very long knows that I tend to swing off on a tangent. It's all connected. I'm like a spider web, and it's all just out there in the web somewhere. So I hope you could follow with me. But yeah, it's So Cowboy Bebop is the story of basically a ship called the Bebop. And cowboys in this iteration are bounty hunters. If you call somebody a cowboy, that basically you're a bounty hunter, and it is very much as Kamikaze D just said. It's very westernized for an animation, but it's funny the Japanese do that a lot. I mean, they use a lot of different themes, and they use the British themes, they use German themes, they'll just pull in from almost every culture group, and they transition it into their art, and it's one of the things I really love about anime. There's an anime called Code Geass. I can never say it right, but it's very it has a very British feel to it, and it's very kind of a British culture based thing while taking place in Japan, and it's just so just another saying I say the love interest in Leto was a bit of I have to agree with that. There was a lot of people that just gravitated to it to give money to something other than Captain Marvel. Cowboy Bebop was like I say, I just started watching it maybe a month or so ago, and have watched it about 2 or 3 times. Because I'm a truck driver and I have that kind of time. But it is a very gritty feel. The music has a Western jazz feel. So if you saw the intro that I put into for this particular thing, I had to use a different song, and I had to scramble it up so that it was not the original, because I didn't want to get a copyright strike and have my stream pulled down. But I wanted you to see kind of how they did some of their animation. If you're not familiar with it, that's the opening sequence, just jumbled up a little bit and with a different song. The song that goes along with Cowboy Bebop, it's way better. It is very stylized. And that's one thing I'm kind of excited about, this Netflix series that they're going to be doing. I'm excited and terrified, just like everything Hollywood is doing right now, because they've done this before, where they'll go take something from anime and they grab it, they twist it all around and Hollywoodize it and ruin it. And it looks nothing like what it should. It comes out way too Americanized, and you lose what makes anime. You can't do that. You cannot change it that much, or you lose what everybody comes to for. I mean, right now, manga, however people say it. There's different ways people pronounce it. You hear Loki say it one way, and I say it a completely different way. So but yeah, it is so fun to watch what they did with that. And with this Netflix series, they've got the original director. He is coming back to be a consultant. That gave me hope. The original creator director is coming back, and the original person who wrote all the music for Cowboy Bebop is coming back to do the music. And if you've watched that very much, you know that the music is one of the things that really makes this series work. Because like I said, it's 1 minute, you've got harmonica music, and it is you hear the twang, 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 like the old Western music, like you were watching a John Wayne film. And in the next beat, you're listening to a jazz drum beat and a totally different timbre to the music. And it is just so well done, so well mixed and iterated that it feels organic, and it gives that show a very unique feel. But yeah, you start out so let's kind of cover the Netflix thing first, and then we're going to go into the actual real Cowboy Bebop. So I had to make some notes here because I can't remember people's names. especially some of the names that are part of being casted for this show. I was like, I don't know who that is. So a lot of them aren't famous, which doesn't mean anything. The people that were in The Expanse were not famous before they were in that show, and they're terrific. So we're gonna, let me see if I can share my screen with you here so I can show you what I'm looking at. Okay, there we go. No, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. All right, so this is the original art form of the original show. And this just going, we'll go around from kind of in a circle clockwise to talk about the characters here real quick. So the top one is Spike Spiegel, and he is going to be played by John Cho. The next one is Jet Black. I love that name. If I could change my name, I was like, that's the coolest name ever. Jet Black. It was awesome. But he was voiced by, or he's going to be played by Mustafa Shakir. That's why I wrote it down. And then we've got Faye Valentine. She's the next one you see. She's the first girl, the older girl. And she will be played by Daniela Pinda, something like that. Next is Vicious, and you don't actually see him here, but he's going to be played by Alex Hastel. And Julia, which is another character from this anime series, is going to be played by Elena Satine, or Satine, one of those two. So let's go and show you some. So these are the people that are going to be playing. So the other character that I didn't talk about on there was Ed, and her name is about that long if you write it out. Her full name is, so everybody calls her Ed because it's like Edwina Scafeza, and it ends up sounding almost Russian. Pardon me. So this is so left to right here. That's John Cho, Mustafa Shakir, Daniela Pino, and Alex Hastel. Now I want you to look at that picture. When I say those names, yes, Kamikaze. Yeah, I got to highlight your comment here because that is very well said. Yeah, the big name actors are so busy preening for the liberal whatever it is they're doing that they usually get caught up in that. So and Adega's with you. So but yeah, so I want you to look at these actors that are matching up, and I want you to tell me if you see some issues here, because I'm seeing some issues. One, John Cho does not look like Spike Spiegel. John Cho, if you don't know who he is, he played Sulu in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek films. So you might recognize him from that. The guy next to him is the Mustafa Shakir, and he played in I have no idea what. Honestly, I went looking, and there's some like films that are like, never heard of them. I've never heard of them, never seen them. If you know who he is, that's fantastic, but I had no clue. The gal, Daniela Pina, again, no idea who she is. She does look like she kind of fits the character, though. I agree. She kind of looks like that. And then you've got Alex Hastel as Vicious in this picture. I'm sorry, 1 out of 3 of these people, or 4 of these people, look like the character that they're supposed to be playing. Now I realize they're gonna do their hair and they're gonna do some things, but I have a problem with the second one more than any of the others because I hate to tell you this, but Jet Black wasn't black. He was not a black character. There are black characters in this anime. One of the bounty hunters on one of the worlds is yeah, yes. I mean, I know they're going to make him up, and don't get me wrong. I'm not crapping on this before it gets out. I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to give this a real, honest look-see when it does show up, because it deserves that. You know, it sounds like they're trying to do this right. It sounds like they're getting the original creators involved. I mean, so it sounds like this could be great. I want to run something by you here, just to see what you guys' thoughts are. Now, this is who they cast. They haven't cast Ed as far as I know, and Alina Satine. I found different pictures of her, and each one of them looks a little different. So I have a hard time figuring out if that's who I'm supposed to be looking at. So if you want to go look it up, you can go see who that was that they cast. And she actually does kind of look like the character of Julia from the anime. So when I think of Spike Spiegel, this is who I see. Now, different hair, but Keanu Reeves is half Asian, half American. I think his mother was Japanese, I think it was his mother. Anyway, he's of mixed descent. And I think he looks the part. He has the physical build. He has the size, the proportions to fit the character. Now I realize getting Keanu Reeves probably would have been very hard. He is very popular in Hollywood right now, doing a lot of projects. So, I mean, you know, I'm sure he would have been very difficult and very expensive to get. But I mean, you look at this picture. Now here he is when he was playing Constantine, and another movie that I thought was good. Weird, but good. Now that's Spike Spiegel. Tell me you can't look at those two pictures and see the same guy. I don't know. For me, no brainer. No brainer. Should have picked him. So now this next one, it might be a little controversial, but this is who I see playing Jet Black. Now, why would I say that? Now, this is a really small picture. I had a terrible time of finding the right size pictures for the characters I was trying to show this about. But I mean, you look at him, bald head. I'm sure The Rock could grow a beard, but Jet is big. I mean, he is a beefy former cop. I mean, just hard-nosed guy. Tell me you can't see that being Jet Black. He's got the facial features. He's bald. He's shaved head. I mean, to me, and his show just got canceled. I can't remember, it was some sports show. But I mean, I see him more as a Jet Black than who they picked. Now, again, he's a well-known actor, probably very expensive, but the name recognition alone would bring him in. And I think he has the charisma and the characteristics. If you watch Cowboy Bebop, the way he's got the sarcastic sense of humor, the big crap-eating grin that Jet gets throughout the series, it's just, I mean, but I mean, or just somebody who, it doesn't even have to be him. It just needs to be someone who looks like this. They're big, they're built, they're beefy guys, you know, and no offense to anybody who's African-American, Black, whatever you're calling yourselves this week. He's not Black. The character was not Black. You do not need to change, race swap him out. There are plenty of other Black characters in this show. Now, none of them are main characters, but that's okay. It's okay. Why can't you just stick? Now this Mustafa guy, he's got really cool eyes, and I am excited to kind of see what they're going to do with him. But it kind of bothered me that anyway. I'm harping on about that because that's what I do. Now this is Ashley Greene. You might recognize her from the Twilight films. She played Alice in the Twilight films. She absolutely, I don't think she's done a whole lot since the Twilight films. She absolutely could play Faye Valentine. She has the looks. She has the charisma. She has the facial features, the slightly upturned nose. I mean, I'm sorry. This is another one. No brainer for me. Now, my last one is for Vicious, who is one of the primary villains. Villains. English is a good thing. And this is who I would have picked. We all know him. We all hate him from his Joker portrayal. But I think Jared Leto or somebody. See, when I think of casting people, I look body types, how they can do stuff, what they're going to be doing, their pedigrees, some of the stuff they've done in the past. Now, like I said, I'm okay with no names, but just facial features, cast the people to look like the people you're actually going to be replacing them with. That's just me. That's just me. So anyway, so that's those would have been my casting picks, not their casting picks, obviously. So, but I'm interested to see what they're going to be doing with this show. I'm looking forward to it. I hope they are going to be changing the stuff. They've admitted that. There's a Vanity Fair article and some other stuff because they don't want to do a beat for beat absolute repeat of the original anime. As cool as that would be. They're going to change some stuff. They're going to go deeper into some of the backgrounds, into some more of the stories of the characters. And I mean, I think there's possibilities there for something really great, as long as they don't start trans swapping and gender swapping and trying to create stuff in, because, you know, if you watch the anime, that's already in there. Okay. They bust in on, in one scene, they break in on two gay guys in the middle of, you know, Flagrante Delicto. So, I mean, that's in the original from the 80s. So they bust in on these two, and then there's women that are pretending to be men. There's men pretending to be women. So there's transgendered characters in this that pop up. That they talk about them in that regard and stuff. I mean, if you watch the original anime, it's there. It's already there, but it's done in an organic. It's not in your face. It's not blatant. They're not talking about it. It's like real life. Crazy, huh? People just get on with their lives and do what they're going to do and live the way they're going to live. And it just shows up in Cowboy Bebop. And I noticed it just because we're so hyper aware of all of that stuff now, because people can't just let it go. But I mean, it's in the original and it was very well done and not in your face. So, but the original voice actors, and I didn't know any of these people's names before I looked them up today. I have not heard a lot of these ones. I hear a lot, like if you watch Funimation English versions very much, you'll hear a lot of the same voices over and over and over again in many different animes. And I know there's a lot of people that are purists and only watch it in Japanese with subtitles. I can't do that, because if I'm reading subtitles at the bottom, I miss half of everything, especially when you've got a really fast-paced anime. Like, you will miss everything on the screen because you're like, and then you look up and you've missed several seconds of, it's like trying to text and drive. You're missing stuff. So I just, yeah, I agree, Kamikaze. Absolutely. But the original Spike Spiegel, the English speaker, these are all the English actors that did the voice work for it, was Steve Bloom. Jet Black was played by Bo Billingsley. Faye Valentine was voiced by Wendy Lee. Ed was voiced by Melissa Fawn. Ein, I think is how they say. He was played by a dog. Vicious was voiced by Skip Stelrich, and Julia was voiced by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Now, I don't know why that would be majorly important, other than I think it's cool. I kind of like knowing who voices these things because these people did a stellar job. The voice work for this anime is really, really good. Hell, Lady Mist, how are you doing? Thanks for coming. So yeah, we're talking about Cowboy Bebop. So yeah, we just kind of talked about the Netflix series and what's going to be happening there and some of the details. They've got some of it filmed, but they're on hiatus just like everybody else. So looking forward to that and preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best. Yes, it's. I keep telling myself it's going to be good. I say that a lot these days, and I'm disappointed a lot. But gosh dang it, hope springs eternal, and sooner or later, I'm going to be right. Right? I mean, it can't be terrible forever. But yeah, so no, this is. Oh, and I missed that comment. Kamikaze Dave Bautista would be a great Jet Black. There's a lot of characters out there, and like I said, they don't need to be big name actors, but they do need to look the part without being made up and stuff like that. But John Cho, when I heard that he was getting that part, I'm just like, no. I'm like, he does not have the right body type to pull that off. Now he may be a great actor, just like when Viggo Mortensen was cast to play Aragorn, I did not see that. I liked him as an actor, but I really didn't see it. Yes, I'm the broken clock. But I didn't see him in that role. And then after the Lord of the Rings movies came out, I'm just like, okay, he does not fit the descriptions for the books. He really didn't. He did not fit those descriptions at all. But he was great in that role. He took that role and he made it his 100%. So I'm hoping John Cho can do that with Spike Spiegel because that's a big role to fill. Hey, Curtis, what's up? Welcome. Thanks for coming. But yeah, so he's got that. Really, the crux of this story rests on Spike Spiegel. I mean, if the Spike Spiegel isn't good, this is all going to fall terribly, terribly apart. So I hope he's going to be great. I really do, and I wish him luck in the role. And I'll be watching. So I mean, you got to give Netflix this. The Witcher was awesome. Way too much nudity for my taste, but it was great. It was a great story. It was awesome. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because I think a lot of them in Hollywood, I think there's some of them, a lot of them, that's overly optimistic, are getting it, are realizing, hey, we need to stick a little more to the source material. We need to play it, a little closer to the best. We need to give people what they want. I think between Star Wars and Star Trek and all these other franchises that have took a big hit in the last few years, I think they're starting to figure out, hey, this thing that we're going to take is super great on its own. Let's not screw that up. So that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, I hope the live action is great. And that's what we've been talking about. Like I say, there's a Vanity Fair article you can go look up on it and stuff. I rewatched Cowboy Bebop because there's only 26 episodes in the entire anime. And the amazing thing is it was planned out that way. It was planned out from beginning to end. Like it was supposed to end the way it ended. Like there wasn't any big surprises. They knew where they'd started. They knew where they were going. They knew what they wanted to do when they ended it. And it shows because there is a consistent storyline that just flows and boom, you end up at the end. And I mean, at the end, you're kind of like, no. But at the same time, you're like, it's still a satisfying conclusion. And I'm not going to talk about exactly what happens in case somebody in here hasn't seen Cowboy Bebop. You're crazy. Go watch it right now. Even if you have to come back and watch me later, go watch Cowboy Bebop right now. It's on Hulu. It's in English. No excuses. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with it. So you people who are in the chat, if you had to pick a favorite character, and I know it's like asking you, hey, pick your favorite child. Who would you pick? I mean, who really stands out to you as your favorite? For me, it was. It's kind of a neck and neck for me, if I'm honest. Spike is my first. I love his character. Jet Black is a very, very, very close second. And I mean, I loved the gals. Don't get me wrong, and they're all right there. But I mean, if I had to rank them, yeah, Spike is just. I mean, he is so funny, fun to watch. I love his interactions with people. And so I'm seeing some Spike and some Ed votes. And I don't blame you. Ed is crazy chaotic and very funny to watch. I mean, she really does add something unique to the series. Just the manic, stuff. I remember there's one scene where she's having this, like, I think she got electrocuted or something. She's like vibrating. And I just sat there just laughing. I mean, she is so funny. Lady Miss, the dog is good. Ein. I know Ein. They've cast a Corky, a Welsh Corky, I think is the actual breed from the anime. They showed a picture of Ein, the dog that they've cast to play Ein, and my heck, I don't know where they went looking, but they found a dog that looks just like Ein. And I'm excited to see how they're going, because I mean, kids and animals are a mixed bag when it comes to movies and television shows. I mean, because for every Goonies where the kids are fantastic and go on to become stellar actors, most of them, and stuff, there's and I can't think of one right off the top of my head that like the kid ruins the film. But I know that there's movies that have been out there just like, I don't ever want to watch that again. Because the kids are just like awful. They're distracting, and I didn't like it. But yeah. And so I'm hoping they pick a really talented young person to play the role of Ed, to make her good. And that they like, I don't know if you guys were ever fans of Frasier, but the dog in Frasier, it's a terrier type dog. That dog was as much a character in Frasier as like everybody else was. He was so funny, and the dad's interaction with him, and Ed and Ein end up being very much just connected at the hip throughout the anime. But yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to that, and I hope they can find kids and dogs that can do something great, because like I remember watching Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is one of the same kids from Goonies, but like I saw that kid in the movie and I'm just like, oh, no, please no. And I loved him. I ended up loving Short Round in that film. He was so good. He was such a good little actor. And I mean, I liked them. Lion the Yeah, I do have to give you that one. Kamikaze helped me think of one. So Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Yeah, the girl that plays Lucy, she's a little tough. I know I didn't mind her, but yes, I can see how she was very, very obnoxious. But yeah, I'm with you, Lady Mist. I have a terrible time picking between this group because they're all so unique, and their story arcs are just so good. They each get those episodes that really highlights them, and yet like never leaves anybody else out. And then there's just some off of the wall, like the end episode for the first season just left me like, what? It's just kind of it's almost like a what if episode when they all get killed. It's just like, yeah, wait till next season. And I love the commentaries and the movies at the end, or the previews for the next week. The voice actors and the way they're talking and they're introducing the next episode for the next week is just hilarious. So well done. Yeah. 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 I blissfully forgot. Thanks, Lady Miss, for bringing that up. Now that's in my brain. Now I've got Avatar in the brain. There's a thing on YouTube right now where there's this kid watching Avatar and can't remember. He's a pretty famous YouTuber, but the kid walks up behind him and he goes, "Hey, what you watching? Avatar? Oh, The Last Airbender. I love that." And he's like, "Is it the live action or the cartoon?" "It's the live action." "Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna go upstairs." "Oh, my favorite character is Ong." And the guy goes, "Oh," and he falls down on the stairs. And this kid keeps saying things as he's trying to climb up the stairs and get away. It's one of the funniest YouTube clips I've ever seen. And it very, very much highlights what's wrong with some of the casting and the way they do things and the interpretations. And because his name was not Ong. There are 3 seasons of Avatar: The Last Airbender where it's the original, and it's pronounced Aang, and it's Sokka and Katara, and they pronounced it for 3 freaking seasons. I just made the sign that apparently is racist. I apologize, Lord. I apologize, and be with the starving pygmies down there in New Guinea. Amen. But yeah. Thank you, Lady Miss. That actually is an excellent example of how wrong casting can go and how wrong story writing and action sequences can be done. Oh, yeah. But anyway, I love this. I could sit here and talk episode by episode, and maybe at some point I will do that. This is such a fantastic anime. It really. Now, a lot of the animes they're making right now are based on very young characters. So it's like high school students or teenagers, and I love those too. They're great because the thing I love about the Japanese culture and the Japanese art form in anime and manga is they're very true to reality. When they are writing and drawing these characters and these arcs, you feel like you're being caught in bits of your own childhood. Like I said, for those, if you've never seen Sword Art Online, go watch it right now. After you finish Cowboy Bebop, I'm giving you guys a lot of homework, but yeah. So the acting, the creative vision that they have, I watch these animes and I see myself in them. I see incidents out of my own life. Not that I've ever been a bounty hunter, but I can imagine. But yeah, so me too. I absolutely agree, Kamikaze. I think that there is going to be, and I think they're going to go on. I just hope they do it right. I just hope they pay real, true homage and justice for Cowboy Bebop, because it absolutely deserves it. Because like I was saying, it's not like a lot of those where they're all adult characters, with the exception of Ed. They're all adult characters living in adult situations, and they're struggling to survive. They're living hand to mouth. You hear them talk about like the bounty amounts, like $2 million for a bounty head. and like the next week or the next episode or 10 minutes later, they're broke. Like, I'm just like, how much does everything cost in the future? But I mean, you look at it, and you're just like, I kind of like it's going to Walmart today. It's like $12,000 for a thing of Ritz crackers. So, I mean, but yeah, I just it is so. It's one of the things that I love about anime because it really. I mean, there's a lot of anime stuff that is very outside the box. Inner voice monologue that's coming out as outer voice monologue and stuff. And I love that. I love the facial expressions that they do, and then the crazy different, it's just really is fantastic to watch. And they are so talented with it, and they do such a good job. I mean, I'm just hooked, and I'm constantly looking for more anime to watch because so many different stories, so many different characters, so many different arcs. I don't know if any of you guys have ever watched Vampire Knight, a confession. I am a vampire fanatic. I don't know if any of you have seen the new Castlevania on Netflix. Excellent anime. Very well done. Very bloody, very gory, and stuff like that. But the story is really well done. It is a very, very well done version of the Dracula stereotype and different things. It's so good. So I mean, if you guys are interested in talking about more animes, because I'm going to be doing that. I love anime, you can tell. And I'm going to be doing some anime, just kind of highlighting some different animes that I love, things that have really meant a lot to me, things that I think bring something to entertainment and creativity that we don't get normally over here in the States. And so I'm always excited to find something new. Another one of my favorites is Fairy Tail. I love Fairy Tail. Fruits Baskets is another one. And the sad thing and great thing is I have totally got my kids hooked. All of my kids love anime, and it ticks my wife off something terrible. I'm sorry. I have to admit that my wife is not an anime fan. She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand it. She can't. But if you've seen the I can never say his name right, Akira Miyazaki films, Disney distributes them. Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, all of his films. So good. And I'm probably going to highlight each one. But send me a message, DM me, tell me some things that you want to see talked about on my Sunday streams, animes, movies, because that's what makes this fun, is getting together and discussing this stuff that we love. Because there's a lot to criticize in Hollywood right now, and I've done a little bit of that in this stream. But there's so much more to be grateful that we have an opportunity to watch these great entertainment franchises. I hope that Hollywood learns their lesson, figures this out, and goes and gets these animes, brings the original creators in, and lets them lead where these things need to go. It sounds like Netflix is figuring that out, and I'm very excited for that. I have not seen Samurai 7. I'll have to look into. I'm always like keeping a list of the new ones I need to watch because there's so many. Another one is The Seven Deadly Sins. I don't know if many of you have seen that one. Excellent. The only thing I don't like about that is they kind of flip the whole sins and just lost the other. Don't you hate it when your brain just stops right in the middle of a good thought? They flip the sins and the commandments. That's what it is. And I'm just like, well, that's a little non-religious. That's a little anti. But you know what? It's clever. It's clever. And it's just like, and it's a different way of looking at it. And as long as you don't come in and go, heathens, this is satanic. I hate it when Christian people do that. I'm just like, just look at it for what it is. Just look at it for what it is. A great story telling great things. I keep whacking my mouth because I'm talking with my hands. Been watching The Expanse a lot lately, and the Beltaladas, they talk with their hands a lot. But yes, Black Clover is really good. Black Butler is really good. So these are going to be some of the things I'm going to be talking about. Next week, we won't be talking anime. That'll probably be skipped to, yes, Outlaw Gate is good. But next week, we are going to be talking about, and this is a little self-serving, so I apologize. We are going to be talking Orson Scott Card novels. For those of you who wonder why I called myself Speaker for the Dead, that's where that comes from. It's a novel by Orson Scott Card. They are fantastic. You may know Ender's Game, if you've ever heard of that one. That's the original book. Then Speaker for the Dead, then Xenocide, then Children of the Mind. There's a whole series. In fact, there's multiple series that he has written. He's also written another fantastic book called Empire, and we might get into that one a little bit next week, because it is, if you want a roadmap for what's happening in our country right now that was written like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, go read the book Empire by Orson Scott Card. The audiobooks, that if you ever get a chance to listen to the audiobooks, they are fantastic. He has an entire cast of people that read the book, and they are all fantastic. You will not regret it. You will love listening to them. But that's what we're going to talk about next week. Next Sunday on Speaking with the Speaker, it will be Orson Scott Card and the origins of Speaker for the Dead. Because people ask me that a lot, and people end up saying to me, I think people misunderstand my name, because they're like, everybody's like, he's Speaker for the Dead. He speaks for the dead. And I'm just like, well, kind of, but it's not really a morbid thing. It's more of a truth thing. And that's the amazing thing about those books, is they are so good. And the Speakers for the Dead are actually become kind of their own pseudo religion. So that's what we're going to be discussing next week. I hope you'll be here with me. I'm looking forward to it. Xenocide, I just saw you pop in here. Thanks for popping in. And yes, Xenocide is the name of one of the books of Orson Scott Cards as well. So, but yes, Lady Miss, they are fantastic. Like I said, they made a movie of Ender's Game. It's not bad. It is definitely worth a watch. The book is much better, which is always the case. The book's very much more detailed. There is a lot that they had to boil that down into a movie. They should have done two, because there's just too freaking much to boil into one movie in one of those books, because he's very detailed, but it's like interesting details, not just exposition. But yes, so next week we will do an Orson Scott Card, and the following week we will do another anime discussion. I haven't decided which one we're going to cover yet. I'm open to suggestions. Let me know what your favorites are. Put those in the comments below. And, if I get a lot of requests for the same one, and it's one that I'm familiar with, then we will absolutely do it. Because I want you guys to have a voice in what we're doing here, because that's what makes this fun. We're a community. We're doing stuff that's cool. Yes, I agree, Kamikaze. They should have done a series with the Orson Scott Card books. And they do a branch off series called Ender's Shadow, which is based on another character from Ender's Game. And I haven't got through those yet, but I hear they're very good as well. But thank you for being here with me tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and let me know what you guys would like to speak about in the future. And we will talk to you next time. And going to take you guys out on a little video here. So have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everybody.